Welcome to Double or Nothing, ladies and gentlemen. You already see the title. I am speechless. Now, this isn't a bad thing. This actually was very good. This was a good show, but I want to make this very clear. This was not the greatest show I've ever seen. But damn it all, let's put this in perspective. Since February, we have had the beginnings of what we now know as a pandemic. We already know what happened in China, which spread to Europe, which spread to Canada, which spread to America, which spread everywhere. Since then, everything has been completely restrained and controlled and feared and anxiety ridden. And for a person like myself who has, and sorry for the noise, people just playing music like crazy, but for me, someone who's had anxiety and depression, and this entire situation has messed with me pretty badly, this left me speechless. It was so much, and the one thing that made me feel so happy was the fans. There were fans in this show. There weren't many. There were still wrestlers there, but you had wrestlers and you had fans. You could see them during the time of this recording. And I believe it was mainly recorded because a lot of stuff that was done in between this, it looked like it was pre-done early, so it was recorded, obviously. Unless there were certain things that weren't recorded, this was pre-recorded. But no matter if it was pre-recorded or not, this show gave me something I have not felt in many, many months. The only thing that has come close to that has been NWA Superpower that I just did a review of because it still showed fans in the last video. The last video put on YouTube was with fans, and that gave me a very refreshing feeling. This left me speechless. Now, the buy-in, like the kickoff show, had Best Friends versus Private Party to see who becomes, I believe, number one contenders. Now, it wasn't one of the greatest matches I've seen, but it was good. The crowd really made it mean something. And Best Friends won. I'm not elaborating on anything. I'm making it very clear. I'm not elaborating on barely anything in this show because there was so much here that's impossible to be able to talk about how many flips, kicks, and whatever. I'm just giving you the bare essentials here. But I gotta tell you, if you do watch Private Party versus Best Friends, it was good. For what bit that we saw, it was only about 15 minutes, I believe. They only gave us 15 minutes before the main show started. I guess they were having problems setting things up. But this is what we got. The casino ladder match for the number one contender spot. Whew. We had a lot going on. One of the highlights, Orange Cassidy, was hilarious. It wasn't the fact that he can wrestle. Because he can. We know he can wrestle. But he was so damn funny. At one point, he's stretching his hands up, trying to see if he can reach when he isn't. I mean, that's pretty simple, but he just made it fun and funny. He did. The highlight was Darby Allin. He gets up on the 12 to 15 foot ladder, jumps off with his skateboard, and hopefully didn't actually break his ankle when he did what he did. The guy was insane doing that. I'm not a spot guy. I'm just not. I like a well-rounded, balanced match of spots, of ring psychology, and of story. And ring psychology and story are two completely different things. But this was just wild. Not much different than what WWE does, but let's be honest here. It felt better than what the WWE has been putting on for months because we had crowds of people there. Wasn't many. Like I said earlier, they had fans along with wrestlers. They weren't mixed together. But you could hear the fans. You could see them in the stands. Whatever they did, pan on them. And it felt substantial. Brian Cage does his debut. They legitimately decided once he came out and he suplexed Luchasaurus into the tables. No, not in the table, into the ladders. They had to bury his ass. And here's the thing that made me particularly happy. Taz was utilized. You see Taz come out after Brian Cage comes out. You see Taz giving Brian Cage instructions what to do. And Brian Cage goes after many people, but he focuses on Darby Allin, which is a good thing. We now have something substantial with a feud. Darby Allin has completely ignored Taz. Taz gets pissed as an old veteran. He gets a Brian Cage that he knows that he can really deal with, and he destroys Darby Allin in that match. That is Brian Cage, and he becomes the number one contender. Now, am I happy that Brian Cage gets this quickly? No. But if they book this correctly and not rush it, like they had with Lance Archer, it'll be fine. But this is the question, because as I said before, and I will get to Lance Archer in a moment, I'm doing that now. Let's just hope they don't rush a Brian Cage. Now, Cody versus... Look, I didn't hate the match between Archer and Cody. I didn't. But because they telegraphed this so much, look, I understand that the people who are running, like Khan, wanted to make sure that this is done right. Cody wanted to make it well done. I'm sure the Bucks wanted to make it clear that we wanted to do this carefully. We didn't want to do something outlandish. We wanted to be conservative. I understand that. But as it stands, seeing Lance Archer, who should not be jobbing to anyone, doesn't make a difference. He should not job. He shouldn't have jobbed at all. He shouldn't even been going near the title for 5 to 6 months. He comes in, they book him with Cody, he has this match, and he's done. Done. And I'm just so telegraphed. It hurts. It hurts to see that they did this to Lance Archer. And some people are going to say, well, Lance will be fine. This doesn't hurt him. How does it not hurt him? You guys tell me. Tell me how this doesn't hurt Lance Archer. And think about what happened later in the night when it came to the heavyweight championship. And I will be getting to that soon. But it just pissed me off to see Lance Archer, who's just been brought in, who's a monster, have the job here. Now, is it a feel-good moment? Yes. Because when it comes down to it, Cody can't go after the world title. It just won't ever happen unless they change things. So him going after this title makes sense. But it's so badly telegraphed. It irked me. I shouldn't be being irked when it comes to Cody, who's gone through so much since they started the company. They have built him very well, saying that he's given so much to the company that he wants to do the right thing. He couldn't beat Chris Jericho, could not generally beat up a Sean Spears, and I'll be getting to him in a minute. He couldn't get where he wanted with MJF until later. Yes, he did eventually do something, but in the end, getting this title would make sense. It's a mid-card title. He's not doing the main thing. But still, it's so telegraphed, it irked me. That's just me, you guys tell me below. MJF versus Jungle Boy. Jack Perry. I gotta say this. This was the highlight of the show for me. This match was really a damn good match. I really liked this match. It was, I would say, the best match of the night when it comes to wrestling. Yeah, I would say as a wrestling match, this was the best match of the night as singles wrestling for me. And when you see how these guys got good chemistry. Jungle Boy has good chemistry with MJF. MJF had good chemistry with Jungle Boy. They tried to do this in a high-paced style, but they did for a good amount of aspects of classic wrestling. Like Golden Age wrestling, where you're not getting off your feet. In the end, MJF wins. And I'm fine with that. Jungle Boy did a good outing, and it doesn't hurt him. Now, we had the match that I don't understand why they did it. Doesn't mean I hated the match. I just don't understand why they did it. Penelope Forbes, who was involved in the ladder match, versus Statlander. And here's the thing. I didn't hate the match, but I felt like it didn't need to be there. Particularly what happened with... Look, because of what happened with Britt Baker, she was out. She got hurt. She's supposedly out. They don't know how they said by next Wednesday they will explain what's going to happen. Well, she explained it. What is her condition? When will she come back into the ring? And I would think maybe it would be better to cancel it, because it just fell out of place. It should have been on the pre-show, the buy-in. To be honest, this should have been on buy-in, not on the main show. If you're going to have best friends and private party who are supposed to find out who's number one contender, wouldn't it have been better to switch it and let Penelope Forbes and Statlander be there? Now, Statlander won, but it didn't really help that it was in a spot that should have never been there. Honestly, I'm being honest. That's just me. You guys tell me below. Sean Spears. He comes to the ring, dressed to kill, wanting them to count out the match. In other words, get in the ring, have the ref count it, and say he's the winner because he felt and he knew that the Dustin Rhodes would not be there. He made them play his music, and he made everyone pissed off because he knew they would buy it. Then Brandy comes out, then Dustin comes out, they have a quick match, and the most funniest thing, and it's in my face, you see that Dustin basically rips his clothes off, and then you get the Telly Blanchard underwear. That's in my face. That's in my... They tried really hard to make this show funny. And to be honest, they did a great job at it. For me personally, compared to what the WWE did and Money in the Bank, this felt a lot more funny. It just did. Money in the Bank was supposed to be something very serious. And here, in this show, it wasn't serious. And it fit. There it didn't. That's just me. You guys tell me below. But in the end, Dustin wins. I don't know what he gains, but that was damn funny. The match that pissed me off. Nia Rose versus Shida. And you know what pissed me off? It wasn't the match. The match wasn't bad. Actually, the match was pretty good. And understand, Shida has 11 years compared to Nia Rose's 6. And it shows. Nia Rose is still not that great in the ring. She's improving. I have to admit that. And I hope you do see it yourself. She's not as bad as she was when she first started months ago going into AEW. She's actually better. She still needs a lot of work, but she's getting better. But here's the thing. You have Hinako, I believe her name is Hideko. I could be pronouncing it wrong, and I probably am. But Shida speaks English. English! And this is the first time we're actually hearing her other than last week on Dynamite. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. If everyone says, hey, you need to see Dark, that means nothing. Dark is not a brand of AEW. It's not like SmackDown. They're not having shows with Dynamite, at least not yet. I do believe they should turn Dark into its own separate brand eventually. Because it'll really help to put most of the titles on Dark, the other on Dynamite, and don't double everything. Just have women's wrestling on Dark and have the TNT title, and then have men's wrestling and then the men's title, or vice versa. I don't care. Just do it that way. But the key of it is that's Dark. This is Dynamite, and she speaks English. You see in my face. It angers me that this woman can speak English and they don't do anything yet about her. This is the first time we actually see a promo. Well, not promo, but basically a video package of her speaking English about Nia Rose. And then the match itself was fine. But here's the thing. We had as our first AEW champion, Rio, where they did nothing with her. They gave us no video packages of her until they did one of their pay-per-views. She barely was there. And when she was there, there was no interviews, no translator, nothing. So when you think about Shida, do you see the same thing as I do? Because I don't care if Kenny Omega's really high on Japanese women wrestling. If he doesn't treat them like American women wrestlers to get them over as... Calm down. Shida has to be treated like an American wrestler, like a European wrestler, like a Mexican wrestler. She has to have promo segments. She has to have in-ring segments. She has to have an actual feud where she has to talk. And it doesn't make a difference if she needs a translator, or now we know she speaks English, that'll speak it herself. She needs to do it. Or this is the same thing when it came to Rio. Nothing gets done. And they should have left the title on Nia Rose. This is where it comes down to. If she doesn't do any video packages this coming week, if she's not interviewed on Dynamite, not Dark, Dynamite, and she doesn't have a promo or feud, this is a joke. And I'm being honest. The match that was also sad. It just, like when it came to the TNT title, it was sad that it was telegraphed so much. This match is sad because both of them need to win. Brody Lee versus the Moxley. Mox versus Lee. Here's the problem. Brody Lee just came into the company and this was rushed, like Lance Archer. Neither one of those guys, Archer or Lee, should have even touched or smelled the title. But since they need to do something, they gave it to them. And they hurt Lance Archer. And now they hurt Brody Lee. And I'm sure people will say, no, Brody Lee is fine. No, he isn't. This was too soon. He barely managed to build his persona. Now you tell me. And understand, the match was good. It wasn't bad. It was a no DQ match. Am I right? Yeah, it's a no... No, it wasn't a no DQ match. I'm sorry. That was not a no DQ match. That was Nia Rose and Shida, which they did pretty good on. This was a no DQ match. In a sense, because the ref did not want to count out the match. The ref let them go. And that was the thing. That's why I got a little confused about it. Because the ref didn't order them back in. He didn't do any counts. He just let them go to a certain extent. And then let them get back in the ring to do their business. But here's the thing. That gets you. Because Moxley did exactly what they did. Calm. If you remember Rebellion, you remember Shamrock choking, well, not choking out, but basically passing out a Sami Callihan is exactly what happened with Brody Lee getting choked out. He passes out from the choke, just like Sami Callihan passed out from the pain in his ankle. That was the worst thing they could have done. They should have never put them both together. It was too soon, and this hurt them. I would have had a better time seeing a Darby Allin go up against Moxley again. Or something different. I do believe the reason they did this because they just didn't have anyone they felt that Moxley could go up against that was credible. Kind of like what's going on with Cody. But in this situation, because both of these characters, Lance Archer and Brody Lee, have only just gotten in the company within the last, a few months? It doesn't help that they had the job so soon. They needed to be dominant. And now you just jobbed them both. And many people are going to say, when it comes to Lance Archer, he'll be alright. And when it comes to Brody Lee, particularly, he'll be alright because he passed out. He didn't tap. He didn't get pinned. He just passed out. He was bleeding. Look, at one point, and you see it in my face, you got Brody Lee getting driven into the stage, the ramp, and he came out bleeding. But it does not change the fact that he had to lose like this. Because he did. Passing a person out is not the same what Austin did at WrestleMania. I'm sorry. When it comes to WrestleMania and Stone Cold Steve Austin getting beaten by Bret Hart and he passed out because of the blood, you could say it's the same thing, but it's not. It's because of one difference. Because Stone Cold Steve Austin had been around more than long enough that he got over. And he was very well over, and at least a good amount of time before that match happened. This was too soon, and it was wrong. No matter how good the match was, it was wrong. I'm just saying, Moxley wins. Let's move on to the Elite versus the Inner Circle. You see some of the scenes. Whatever scenes I have, I'm just going to put them there. I don't even know if I'm going to put like 5 or 10 of them. I may just put 10. Because I got a lot of shots. But when it comes down to it, this made me feel completely different compared to the WWE and Money in the Bank. This was more enjoyable than Money in the Bank because there were actual fans there to cheer. Look, they had cheerleaders. They had band members. They had actual people in the bleachers. You had, the stage crew, but they still made it fun. You had the Inner Circle coming out like football players. Hell, Chris Jericho came out in his own father's number when he used to be a hockey player. Guevara came out in his own number of 93. He was born in 1993. He's actually a bit older than my son. Because my son was born in 97. They made this mean something. Hell, you got the... And let me put you like this. When Hangman Page came out to chase down Guevara, he came out on a pony. He came out on a Mustang. He took that Mustang inside and made him park himself and with the drink. And at one point, while he was drinking, you got Hager coming to him. And he's asking, do you want a drink or you want to fight? He says, I'll take a drink. They drinking. He said, you know what? Forget this. I'm going to fight. They start fighting in there. It was done very well. They cracked on Hager's head 3 or 4 candy bottles. And then they destroyed him after that. I can't remember all. There was so much going on. So much out in the stadium. So much in the back. So much fun. You had at one point Matt Hardy being taken to a pool. He comes out as Matt Hardy version 1. Then you got Matt Hardy the crazy one. Then you got Matt Hart and the Broken Brilliance. And you got it. I know he's done this before. He did that with Impact Wrestling. But since we haven't seen him in so long, it felt refreshing to see him be the way he always wanted to be. Creative. In the end, Guevara was the last one to survive this. And they destroyed Guevara with a one-winged angel from the Kenny Omega. The Elite wins. I'm speechless. And it's not because it was the most greatest thing I've ever seen. It was because it was fun. I felt the adrenaline from the wrestlers. I could feel the fans excited. Even though there wasn't that many fans there, it was still enough fans to make it mean something. Yes, there were things I'm not agreeing with. Lance Archer shouldn't have jobbed. Brody Lee should not have jobbed. Flat out. When it comes to Sheeta, they better start making her talk. Do promo segments, do vignettes. Have this woman do interviews in the ring and make her talk. If they don't, this is bullshit. But even with those problems, this was a great ass show. This pay-per-view, I'm tired because this is a 4-hour show. This was pretty long. But still, it was a damn good show. And it made me happy. It made me happy. That was the thing that, if you got to take anything from this show, it will make you happy because it's fun. The WWE didn't make theirs incredibly fun. It felt like a fun forced. Because they tried to make Money in the Bank something funny when it's supposed to be serious. This was not meant to be super serious. At least not in all the spots. They made it fun. This is just me. You guys tell me below. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.